From the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F comes his next book, Everything is Effed. Is everything really effed, or does Mark Manson really like the F word? Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Travis here, and I'm back with my newest book review. Today, we're going to be reviewing Mark Manson's Everything is Effed, a book about hope. As a disclaimer, I'm not going to be cursing in these book reviews. I think it's a distraction and it takes away from the overall message that I'm hoping to give to you with these videos. Before I get started with the book review, I'd encourage everybody to like the video, give it a thumbs up, like it now. It's urgent. It really helps me out. Comment down below, share your thoughts and feedback with me, and if you're so inclined, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really motivates me to keep making these videos for you all. Starting with the author Mark Manson. Mark Manson is an American blogger and author. He actually got his start in his career by giving life and dating advice to men. I remember back in college in my late teens and early 20s consuming some of his content. And Manson rose and catapulted to world fame and superstardom with his 2016 book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And if you can remember, that book went absolutely bonkers viral. It was all over social media. It was everywhere. People were taking pictures of themselves reading the book, the orange cover, the black text, the censored out F word. It was so viral, it was so eye-catching, and it was actually a good book. And it came about because Mark Manson really wasn't satisfied with the self-help advice that existed at the time. He thought that a lot of self-help gurus were steering human beings away from suffering and hardship and directing them to pleasure-seeking behavior. And that really rubbed him the wrong way. And that theme extended into this book, Everything is Effed. Mark Manson talks about how today, human beings, we live in an age where we have everything that we could have ever dreamed of. We're wealthier and healthier than we've ever been, ever. But at the same time, everything and everyone seems utterly hopeless. Governments are failing, communities are filled with unrest, and people are easily offended by, it seems, like everything nowadays. Mark Manson talks about how happiness is not sustainable. What is sustainable for human beings is meaning and purpose. And modern people are obsessed with pleasure and feeling good. Ancient people were obsessed with surviving suffering. And to illustrate this point, Mark Manson retells the famous Greek mythology story, the story of Pandora's box. And so in early Greek mythology, humanity lived in a golden age. And oddly enough, in this golden age of humanity, there was only men, and women weren't even in existence. Only men. And the men were partying, they were having fun, they were doing whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. At all times of the day, it was an absolute party and a sausage fest. And one day, the Titan Prometheus, who is known as being a champion of humanity, but also a cunning trickster, he takes fire, he steals fire from the gods and he gives it to humanity. And Zeus, who is the supreme king of the Greek gods, he finds out about this and he is absolutely furious. And he decides to not only punish Prometheus, but also he will punish humanity as a consequence. And he's not going to use violence and destruction with his punishment. He's actually going to have a much subtler punishment. He rounds up the Greek gods and he says, we're going to punish humanity. I'm going to create the first woman. And Zeus has all of the Greek gods give qualities to this first woman. One Greek god gives this first woman the gift of beauty. Another Greek god gives her the gift of intelligence. Another god gives her the gift of persuasion, etc., etc. Zeus takes a look at this first woman and he names her Pandora. And he tells Pandora, I'm going to give you a box and I'm going to send you down to Earth. But you have only one rule. You are not to open the box. Whatever you do, the one rule that I'm going to give you is to not open the box. Pandora goes down to Earth, and what's the first thing that she does? She opens the box. And out comes death and destruction and despair and sickness and anxiety, all running rampant throughout the world and throughout humanity. As soon as Pandora realizes what she has done, she shuts the box and she closes it, leaving one thing inside. Everything escapes the box but one thing, and that one thing is hope. And why does hope stay in the box while everything runs rampant? Because it's a parallel to life. In life, we see a lot of death, we see a lot of suffering, we see a lot of sickness. But we have to choose to have hope. Hope is not swirling all over around us. We have to open up Pandora's box and we have to actually choose hope. And this is how Mark Manson transitions into his breakdown of happiness versus meaning, and how in this society, in this age of prosperity, we have comfort but no cause. We have pleasure but no values. We have safety but no meaning. And to illustrate this point, he talks about the story of a Buddhist monk by the name of cked. And in 1963, in South Vietnam, the government was led by Catholic influence. And the Catholics in the government of Vietnam, South Vietnam, they were actively persecuting the Buddhists. And they were raiding the temples, they were banning religious flags, they were arresting and beating the Buddhist monks. And one day, 66-year-old cked, he had enough and he decided to protest. And he didn't want to protest with anger or speeches. He decided to protest in the middle of the street one day in Saigon, which is the biggest city in Vietnam, the economic hub of Vietnam. In Saigon, in the middle of a busy intersection, cked, along with his fellow monks, they stopped a car in the middle of the intersection, and cked got out of the car and sat in the lotus position in the middle of the street. The monk started pouring gasoline all over his body, completely soaking him, and then all of a sudden, cked strikes a match and lights himself on fire. Disclaimer, the image is brutal, but I'm going to post the image here. Everyone was stunned. The image went absolutely viral. The whole world was alerted to the Buddhist persecution that was happening in South Vietnam. It was like the first viral image ever, potentially. John F. Kennedy, at the time he was the president of the United States, he found out about the image and just the whole world found out about it. Why was this image of the burning Buddhist monk so striking? First off, it was striking because he didn't make a sound and he didn't move a muscle. Eyewitnesses said that he didn't make a sound, he didn't move, he didn't scream, he didn't yell, he just died on the spot. And it was just such an act of self-control in the most perilous, the absolute worst case scenario. You're burning alive. And the reason why it was so viral and it immediately alerted the world to the Buddhist persecution in Vietnam is because pain without purpose is just torture. But pain with purpose is meaning, and that's super important. And if you have a happiness-based worldview, what that Buddhist monk did lighting himself on fire, it made absolutely no sense. But if you have a meaning-based worldview, it makes tragic and terrifying sense, and it really called to attention what the Buddhists were going through in Vietnam. Very, very powerful story. Overall, with this book, it was a good book, but it was all over the place. It honestly seemed that Mark Manson, he wanted another viral book. It was just a mishmash of all sorts of self-help motivation stuff. He even cited a bunch of sources that I really didn't think he needed to do. And it had a lot of good stuff, but it was all over the place. I think that this book is more meant to be like a coffee table book. If you picked it up at any point, Mark Manson is such a talented and creative writer that it's entertaining, but there was no cohesive structure to the book, and that's really, I didn't really enjoy it all too much. I didn't want to do this review originally, but it did have some really helpful stories that I wanted to share. A couple of quotes that I wanted to mention in this book. Let's go through 3 of them. Every time you knock down one kind of pain, another one pops up. And the faster you whack them, the faster they come back. The pain may get better. It may change shape. It may be less catastrophic each time, but it will always be there. It's part of us. It is us. Pain is a constant in life, and that's what that quote illustrates. Being heroic is the ability to conjure hope where there is none, to strike a match, to light up the void, to show us a possibility for a better world. Not a better world we want to exist, but a better world we didn't know could exist. It is impossible to become someone new without first grieving the loss of who you used to be. I'll leave it right there. Beautiful quote. Overall, I'm going to give this book a 6.3 out of 10. Had a lot of good stuff, but it was all over the place, and I really don't think it should have been written. I think Mark Manson forced this one. But anyway, it was solid. Pick it up if you want to. The first book is better, in my opinion. Thanks everybody for watching. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. All the best. Bye.